Hello and welcome to Jo's Pod, the podcast that celebrates everything that Jo Jingles stands for. I'm Lukas and I'm thrilled to be the host for our very special 30th year episode. That's bringing music and movement to everybody across the UK. So today we're diving into more than just a music class. If anybody's been involved in Jo Jingles, they know it's not just about all the songs, it's about development of the children and the confidence and the connection. So today I've got three amazing guests. I've got Gaynor from Nottingham, and then Hannah, who is actually Gaynor's teacher, and Lucy. So I'm just going to hand this over now to Gaynor. Hi Gaynor, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hello, yes I would. I'm Gaynor and I'm from Jo Jingles, Nottingham. Delighted to be asked to join you on this podcast. Thank you very much. Feel very honoured on this anniversary of Jo Jingles. So yeah, 30 years for Jo Jingles and 20 years for me as a Jo Jingles franchisee.
Yay!
Woo!
And do you have your teacher with you? Sorry, Gaynor.
I certainly do, yeah. So I've got Hannah's kindly joined us today. Hannah's been with me 5 years, but I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, so I'm Hannah, and yes, I work for Gaynor. So I've been teaching some of her classes and at the nurseries for 5 years. I also came to Jo Jingles before then with both of my daughters. Loved it straight away, and when my daughters got too old for Jo Jingles, I thought this can't stop. So I'm going to have to join the team. So that's what I did. Yeah, and I've enjoyed it, loved it.
Brilliant. So you've actually experienced Jo Jingles from both sides of, I suppose, the table, let's say. And Lucy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Lucy. I've been with Jo Jingles for quite a long time now. It's been about 22 years for me, so not quite the 30, but started out as a franchisee myself and also went to Jo Jingles classes as a mum, so totally seen it from the other side too, like Hannah, and now working at head office as franchise support. So an all-round view of Jo Jingles over these many years with the company. Perfect. It's like a bug, isn't it? You just have to keep coming back.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks, Lucy. So today what we're going to be exploring is really how parents can use some of our Jo Jingles music, our skills at home, and how classes actually gently support the readiness without that type of pressure for the children that are coming. So for me, since joining Jo Jingles, what I've noticed the most is how much thought goes into the child and the readiness behind it. So without further ado, let's just let's get into it. Right, so to kick things off, let's talk about what children really get out of Jo Jingles. What are some of the core skills you see developing in class week after week? I'd like to hand this over to Gaynor as our franchisee. And then Hannah, maybe you could give some of your insights after that as well.
How long have you got? Because, no, seriously though, because the skills that the children are learning at Jo Jingles are countless. And, sometimes I'll get a mum on the phone and says, what do we do in class? What's my little one going to get out of it? And I honestly think I could be on the phone here all day chatting to you. And until you come to the class, seeing is believing really, because they just learn so much. I mean, even from the moment they walk through the door, okay, so that might be a bit of a first for them. They've walked into a new room. They're like, oh, hang on a minute. What's going on here? There's a new activity, new people. There's a teacher in a bright red T-shirt playing music at the front. What's going on here? So already they're learning that it's okay to be in a new space. And I want to make them and the parent feel that it's a safe space. It's somewhere where we're going to have lots of fun. And so that initial welcome's really important. so that they've come in, they're not sure what to expect, and so it's really important to make them feel at ease. And then from that moment, it's not going to happen in that first class, but over the next few weeks, they're going to learn so much. And even just from taking aside all the skills they're going to be learning, like numeracy, literacy through our songs and our books and all the careful planning that goes behind what we do, but they're going to be learning important life skills like making friends, sharing, listening, communicating, and bonding with their parent, because how often do we actually get that 45 minutes where their time is that special time just for the two of us? So, I would say to mums, put your phones away and, just really engage in this with your little one, because once I've got the parents' attention, of course, you've got the little one's attention, and we all have so much fun learning together. So, yeah, as you can see, I'm waffling on because there's so much that they learn, and this is the thing, isn't it, Hannah? It's not just the learning, but it's making friends and all the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the children that come are so different. And I don't think Jo Jingles is set for just one type of child. We have parents that come and say, oh, I'm really worried because my child's really shy, really quiet, that they might not engage. We get parents coming saying, I'm really worried that they're not going to sit still. And actually, Jo Jingles suits both of those types of child and everything in between, because it is all about, we do so much, and we're sitting down now, we're listening, we're taking turns, but so much of like, come on, let's get up, let's do this, let's get moving. And so I think it suits all sort of different types of children, all different types of parents as well. It includes so much of the early learning goals, getting ready for school, but also, their physical development, their confidence. As Gaynor says, there's so much in there that they get out of those classes. And as a parent, I didn't realise how much I would get out of it until I went to that first class, and it was like no other class that I'd been to before with my children. It was, it was great, hence I'm still here.
No, amazing. I mean, I can just tell that there's a lot of passion coming from both of you and behind the Jo Jingles. But I'd really be interested, and I'm sure the listeners would. Gaynor, you mentioned about the planning. So is that something that goes into your planning, is actually the core skills? It's not just planning music, for example, is it? Or is it? That's my question.
Well, good question. I think, yes, at the back of your mind it is in there, but it also, with the music that we have and the tools that we have and the design of the program that we run, it does come naturally. So what I would say is about the class, most of our classes, certainly the public ones, are around 45 minutes long across the network, and the class is split up and designed to be in chunks of fun learning. So we always have an introduction section, and that for me will include saying hello, introducing Jo Jingles, and getting everyone up, having a little bit of a boogie at whatever pace people want to do that. It might be just a little wiggle in the seat, or it might be up and about jumping, depending on the week and the age of the child. But then it's broken up into chunks. So we've got an instrument section, then we've got more movement, and then the middle section, certainly for us in Nottingham, we have a section where it's usually an activity where everyone comes together, and that's where a lot of the social learning comes in as well. And so what I'm getting at is it's broken up into chunks where nothing's prolonged. So we've attacked a chunk, if you like, and had lots of fun with it, with the learning. We move on. So no one's got time to get bored. It's very fast moving whilst going at just the right pace. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And to include different elements. So you've got the physical development bit, and you've got the listening, and the maths, if there's any counting songs and everything in there. So you're fitting that into the themes, and different themes each week, is really special, because, we've just done transport this week, and I have in my classes, and, you've got some children that love buses and trains. So they've really, really got a lot out of that. And, and they've really had fun. So, yeah.
We try where we can. Sorry, Lucas. We try
right.
where we can as well to let them know the theme the week before. which encourages the parent and the child to maybe have a chat about that theme, so that if it's something they're not familiar with, they can have a basic understanding of it before they arrive. And not only that, we've got some children that bring in toys and books and things, and that's a really nice confidence booster for them to come up to the teacher and say, I've brought this from home, would you like to have a look at it? And depending on the personality of the child, it might be appropriate to draw everyone's attention to this. I've been on Pirate Week this week, so we had lots of wars.
Yeah.
In class.
If you have a look at Gaynor's socials, you'll see the...
Yeah.
I've got one class where it's not just the children that dress up, and I will leave that with you to investigate my social media. Check
Seen
out
it.
Pirate Week.
I think this is what I think it's what's really good though about having the different themes and things, because also there's some people, some children who may not have come across certain themes and certain things in their lives at home, just through whatever is your reason of not doing that at home. But when they come to classes, they get to experience all these different things that they wouldn't necessarily know about, and I think that's another real big quality of the classes and the themes that we do in Jo Jingles too, because obviously learning words is one of the biggest things, isn't it, through music. And I think when you've got a rhythm and a catchy tune to sing along to, it helps them just pick up so many different words and come away with a whole vocabulary stuff that they may not have learned had it not been through the music. So they're the things that I really picked up when I took my little girl, and she spoke very early on, and I think that's just through using the music and the different stuff that we did at class.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing, to hear these types of stories as well. Obviously, very close to your own hearts and things. But I suppose for our listeners, just to kind of sum up a little bit what we've gone through there, Jo Jingles offers not just music. There is a lot of, I suppose there's a lot of thought and there's a lot of process behind things that are getting children and parents, by the sounds of things, I suppose in line. Not in line. I don't really know what the right word is. Hannah might be able to support me on this as an ex-primary school teacher, but just that readiness, I suppose. There is a lot of thought behind the social and things like that. But I suppose my last question would be towards Gaynor and Hannah. Has there been a breakthrough moment, or within a class maybe, something where you've gone, wow, they've just achieved this, or oh my god, I've been working with this child since they've been 3 months and now they're 5. How does that feel? What does that give you?
I mean, those breakthrough moments, we see them every week. The main example is the shy child. I kind of love it when a shy child comes, because I know they're not going to be shy for long. And when you see a smile, that's the first sign. You see a smile or a little wiggle, you know that they feel comfortable, first of all. They feel safe in the environment, they feel comfortable and relaxed. And that comes from repetition, which is why, and I hate to say it because I know a lot of parents like pay as you go, but honestly, by committing to an activity for a term or a half term, you'll really see those changes in your child that you're not going to get on pay as you go. I mean, I understand that people don't want to part with their money unless they can see it's something they're going to enjoy doing. But even then, I would say, come for 3 weeks then. Let's do a 3-week trial. Let's check it out, because 1 week, the child's got so much to think about and worry about. Like we said earlier, the new room, the new people, the new activity, what's that loud noise? Why has everyone gone quiet? So many things must be going through their head. But give them 3-4 weeks, that's a different child. And we use a lot of repetition, don't we, Hannah, in classes, for a reason, not because we're lazy. We don't want to sing Sleepy Bunnies 20 times a day, but we do because because in every class the child wants to know that Sleepy Bunnies is coming, and it's the song before the goodbye song, and they know that. So we grab our bunnies, we have a lie down and we do the song, which is, you know, have a little lie down, pretend to be asleep, and then, oh, hang on, no, we're not. And we all jump up. So it's really good fun. One last bit of laughter before we say goodbye. But the child knows then that's their cue. They know it's their last song coming up. And that structure, that repetition and consistency is key to making the child relaxed, confident. And if you keep coming, you'll see those changes week on week.
I think the lovely thing I'm thinking about the break, as Gaynor was talking, I was thinking about the breakthrough moments. I was thinking, you know, it can be, like Gaynor says, the child who's always shy and won't come to the box for the instrument for the first few weeks, and then suddenly they do. And I had a little girl yesterday who walked for the first time. She's quite a late walker, and she walked for the first time. And I think what's magical about it is you realise how the parents and the grandparents, basically the grown-ups at the class, have really gelled as well, because this child took the first few steps and everybody cheered, you know, everybody was involved and everybody cheered, and it was a celebration from everybody there, not just the parent. And it makes you realise what a lovely sort of community each class, you know, builds into. Is lovely. And, you know, you can have some real emotional moments like that where everybody's celebrating together, and that's lovely.
Thank you. Those types of stories are amazing to hear, aren't they? That community vibe, that understanding. We totally understand how difficult it can be when it's a bit isolated. So these types of groups are a massive hit for many mums, carers, grandparents, because they're not just about singing. And we're trying to get this across today, is that we are a company, a children's activity company that likes to think about what we're doing. So that's brilliant. So thank you for that. So what are some of the ways parents can keep Jo Jingles going at home? So do we have any tips on that? I'd like to throw this across to Lucy first, and then if I could have Gaynor, maybe you could give your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that parents can obviously continue Jo Jingles at home. Obviously, singing songs, things like Sleeping Bunnies. They love to practice that at home. Peekaboo's always a good one with the babies, to sing that, and obviously to learn songs that perhaps the parents don't know beforehand. I mean, we just take it for granted that everybody knows a million songs like we do, but actually they don't, and they come along and they might feel a little bit nervous about singing songs out loud. So once they've been coming for a few weeks, and they can have a go at singing those songs that are the favourites when they get at home. I mean, obviously, especially in like lockdown and things like that, lots of people were making their own musical instruments at home, using pots and pans and wooden spoons and all sorts of things to create music at home. You know, really easy to do. But yeah, there's loads of stuff you can do. I mean, tidy up time was one that we used a lot in our house, to get my daughter to put all her toys away. But now she's just turned 10, she definitely doesn't do that anymore. But it certainly worked when she was a toddler. So yeah, there's lots of lovely things you can take away from classes. I'm sure Gaynor will be able to tell you even more.
Yes, you're right. I mean, COVID and lockdown, we pretty much went to town actually on our offerings for those at home. We had a full schedule, didn't we? We had a timetable so that it would add a little bit of structure to the family's week. And not only did the jinglers that were currently with us when we had to stop classes, but we engaged new friends that had been told about it. And I think we had 3 classes a week plus 2 story times. So on the days when we weren't doing Jo Jingles classes for them that they could tune into at home, I think it was about 6 o'clock in the evening, wasn't it? We'd get a story which we'd told them in the morning, hadn't we? We'd done a little display about what Jo was going to be reading, and yeah, it was really good fun. And I think it showed people, like you say, with making instruments or just getting the pots and pans out with the wooden spoons, that there's so much that you can play with it at home without it costing a bean.
We did little craft things as well, didn't we? Linked to the bedtime stuff. I think it was desperation from our point of view. We wanted to stay sane.
We did.
But we did little crafts connected to the bedtime stories that they could, we showed them what we'd made. And I think from being a mum at home with 2 young children, I knew that I needed lots to do. So we kind of wanted to support, parents at home to do that. And we're like, oh, we've made this, I don't know, snake from this story, and you can make it, collect toilet rolls, do this. And yeah, Blue Peter, proper Blue Peter style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
really good.
is that something that you still do? Not maybe as heavily, but those activities that parents take home, is that stuff that you would really encourage?
Yeah, I think we often make reference to it still in class, like Lucy said, you will do the peekaboos with our beautiful coloured scarves. But, there's nothing to say you can't do that at home with a tea towel or whatever you've got to hand. You can still have just as much fun. Families take this to whatever extreme they want to. I've had numerous parents come to me and say that they have a whole Jo Jingles class going on at home where the parent has to be the child and the toddler is there pretending to be Gaynor or Hannah, and they've got all the toys are set out, and I've even had videos sent to me of the child saying, now it's time for the instruments. Really cute messages and videos, and it's lovely to see how it makes such an impact that they're actually doing this at home and thinking about when the next Jo Jingles class is and what we're going to be doing.
Yeah,
So,
I remember.
so by the sounds of things, we've got a lot of teachers coming through in about 20 years.
It's sounding that way, isn't it? Yeah. I should be ready to retire by then as well.
God, another 20 years then, Gaynor.
Oh, we'll see. 1 year at a
I
time
remember
now.
one of the children saying the exact same thing when I was doing classes, and they started off the class, and each time they went, right then, and like clapped their hands together every time she was doing it. And I was like, I didn't even realise I do that, but clearly I do every single lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't miss a trick.
No.
Very observant.
Let's be tidy. Let's be tidy. If you're nice and tidy at the end of every day, you'll know when next you want to play. Let's be tidy. The way. Let's be tidy. The way. If you're nice and tidy at the end of every day, you'll know when next you want to play.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that song, and hopefully we'll get to hear some stories on our social media about that support that we've just gone through. Moving on now, really, into school readiness. Getting children school ready it seems to be a term used across the UK at the moment. So, Hannah, this one's especially for you with your teaching background. How do you think Jo Jingles supports school readiness in a gentle and joyful way?
Okay, so I really welcome this question because I'm massively passionate about this. I was a teacher for 20 years before I started with Jo Jingles, and in fact I still do a bit of teaching on the side every now and again. And to sum up, I'd say that I've taught from reception all the way up to year 6. I would say that I wish that every reception child that I taught had come through Jo Jingles first, because I honestly think that as a reception teacher, if you were given a class of children who'd been to Jo Jingles, you'd be halfway there. There's so much that we practice in Jo Jingles and that we encourage with the children that is totally set up for these children to be school ready. That they share the props, they take turns, that they know not to rush up to the box to all take everything at once. Sometimes we only have, we have a monkeys song about jumping on the bed, and there might only be 3 monkeys, and the classes have all got used to the fact that yes, there's 3 monkeys that jump out there, and there might be 12 children, but they know that whoever gets a monkey, give it a cuddle, you pass it on to the next one. And all of that is great sort of foundations for when they start school, because a lot of these children starting school are used to a lot of adult attention, a lot of one-to-one, and from a reception teacher's point of view, it's really hard for these children to share one adult between them. So I think, we do lots and lots of sharing. We do loads of taking turns. In Jo Jingles classes from quite an early age, they get used to listening to an adult, following instructions, but not in a strict way, not in a, no, be quiet, please, it's not your turn kind of way, in a very gentle way. I think if we do it well, they don't even know that that's happening, really. They don't really know that they're sitting and waiting. It just becomes part of the routine. And it is done really gently. And obviously it doesn't always go smoothly, but there's a lot of support there with the other parents to help you do that. Concentration, I've seen children arrive at primary school and reception that they can't even sit on a carpet and listen, for seconds, never mind minutes. Yet, in Jo Jingles classes, children do, and they might not at the start, in the first couple of weeks, but they learn to. It's very rare that we have children that don't learn to do that. And we get all sorts of different children. And I think Jo Jingles, if we do it well, we make it really accessible for all children, all abilities and all levels. I'm really passionate. In school, I taught phonics, and it was one of my sheer joy to teach phonics. And I can see that Jo Jingles is massively important in setting sort of the foundations for teaching phonics. Yes, we do talk about, there's something in this box or bag and it begins with this letter, but even before that, sort of phase 1 phonics is all about developing a child's ability to listen to different sounds, to make different sounds, to explore different sounds. And that is Jo Jingles, in a box. That describes what we do with the instruments and the props and the songs perfectly. We'll sometimes play a little bit of a song and say, anybody know this song? And if we do animals, we'll play the animal sounds, and they're guessing what the animals are. All of that is such important work building up to doing phonics as soon as they start school. There's a socializing with others, but I think the most important thing is, the children are learning, and they're learning so much, but they perhaps don't realise that they're learning so much because it's done in such a fun way. And like you said, without the pressure as well, they've got that parental support there. They've got those friendships that they make there, and there's no pressure, but they're learning, they're learning at the same time. They are learning without that pressure.
Well, it sounds like it would be a teacher's dream to have a class of jinglers coming through. Would that give the parent a bit more confidence if they've been coming to Jo Jingles classes, Hannah, to kind of have that step of moving away?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And I think I've seen that happen. I think it's a really good sort of foundation, as I said, for school. And I have got an example of a little girl who started school actually in September. And her mum brought her to Jo Jingles classes. So she was about three and a half, I think. And mum came and said, look, she sort of walked in, and we get this a lot, that he walked in and apologised straight away and said, I don't think she'll join in, and she's really, really shy, and I struggle to get to nursery, and I don't know, we're going to see how it goes, but I really think she needs to do something like that because I'm really worried about her starting school. And yes, it took a while, but it didn't take months and months for this child to, you could see the confidence growing every week. You could see her getting more sort of out there and eager to come up, and by the end of it she used to start the class sitting next to me. She'd bring her mat up, sit next to me, and sort of mimic what I was doing. And the mum actually wrote us a really lovely review when she left and went to school, just sort of saying how much that her daughter had come on because of Jo Jingles, and she had absolutely no worries or concerns about her going to school, because in all the ways that Jo Jingles had made this child ready for school and made her confident. And I have been in touch with her since to say, you know, how's it going? She came to one of the Jo Jingles parties that we did.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, how's it going? And she just said, oh, it's amazing. I can't believe that, you know, she just walked in from day one and all that confidence. She said, I totally put that down to Jo Jingles. It was that made the difference. And that's lovely to hear, as, you know, as a class teacher, that we make a difference like that is brilliant. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And I think that's exactly the type of response that I suppose a lot of schools want to hear. You did mention the word nursery in that kind of answer, Hannah. So when it comes to nursery, I know the term school ready is being used a lot. Does Jo Jingles help nurseries, or is it just parents?
I think Jo Jingles absolutely does help nurseries, and the nursery managers can see that, and that's why they choose Jo Jingles to come and assist them in helping the children get school ready. And actually, I think with working with the staff at the nurseries together, we're doing a great job of, it's those little things, isn't it? Teaching the children to line up, you know, and we often make that into a bit of a song. You know, let's all line up at the door, and that's a fun thing to do. We don't want any stragglers. And again, as Hannah was saying, not in a strict way, but let's make everything fun and accessible to everybody that's in that class, because you're going to get the dawdlers, you're going to get the ones that want to stand at the front, you're going to get the ones that want to hold the door. And so you've got to manage all that stuff. But yeah, lining up, putting our coats on, taking our coats off, hanging the coats up. These little things, and you can start all this, you know, at Jo Jingles. In fact, we've got a fantastic song, haven't we, Hannah, about wake up and stretch in the morning. Can you remember that one, Lucy?
Yeah,
Wake up and
love
stretch
that one.
in the morning. And that's a fantastic song where we go through the morning's activities, waking up, having a bit of a yawn, jump out of bed, and then we're cleaning our teeth, having a wash, and going off to school in the morning. And we go for a little walk round our red mats, and off we go, and we always have a little wave to mummy, bye. You know, and it's songs like that that help as well, and just make it all feel a little bit more natural, and not a big jump from being at home with the parents to going off to nursery or going off to school.
What's lovely about the nurseries as well, I don't know, Gaynor probably has the same. I turn up in the car park at the nursery and I open my boot, and there's parents arriving with children, and these parents are saying, oh, so you're Jo Jingles, and
Yeah.
we hear so much about you. And it's lovely that the nursery kids, it isn't just something they do in nursery and forget about and go home. They actually go home and talk about, you know, this little fella in red and yellow, and the parents probably think, who is this? Then they see me. Yeah, so it is something that they definitely talk about and look forward to, and it adds to that routine as well. And school is so much about routine, and Jo Jingles has that routine that's so important for children to get used to. So yeah,
Understanding that there's a time for play, a time for learning, a time for lunch, and we do that in the classes, don't we?
It's time for listening.
It's instrument time. It's time for the sleepy bunnies. We use that phrase a lot, but it's so important in everyday life, isn't it? And when we start school, because the day is broken up into chunks, as we said, the classes as well.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I used to run holiday camps across Northamptonshire, and you could tell the difference to the children that had been to kind of like a children's activity, and it's that amazing moment of mum just letting you go, like letting child go, and they go and have that confidence. So it's great to hear that we're having so much impact by the sounds of things, not just in our public classes but also our nurseries. So yeah, that kind of brings us on to our last point, and that is what I mean. We've gone through absolutely loads, so hopefully our listeners really do understand we are more than just a music class. But I suppose this one's a bit towards maybe from a head office point of view, or to Lucy. Why do families keep coming back to Jo Jingles? What have we seen over and over again? And what kind of advice would you give our listeners on how to find a Jo Jingles in their area?
There's so many things that it's hard to sort of pinpoint those things down to like a couple of things, but I think it's important. Our classes are so important for parents and children, so it's not just for the children. It's important for the parents to socialise too, because it can be very isolating when you've just had a new baby and you've got this little bundle of joy, but you're like, now what do I do? And it's having that sort of opportunity to go to a music group or something that you want to try out that you feel comfortable being at. So it's very important for there to be a brilliant atmosphere, a welcoming place to go to, that you don't feel the pressure that you have to sing a solo or anything like that. And you're going to be singing with a whole group of people, and it's going to be fun for not only your child but for you too. And within that, we build the nurturing relationship between child and their adult, which is obviously a brilliant factor too. And I think they're always happy sessions. You don't go along to a class ever feeling sad. You come out at the end of it feeling happy, because there's so much going on within those classes, and that is really important. One of the things for my daughter when she went was the friendship she made. And like I said earlier, she's 10 now and she's still best friends outside of school. She only gets to see her little buddy from Jo Jingles, every now and again, but they are best friends, and it's apparently different level to anyone else, apparently, according to her. So, that's really lovely too, is that they're friendships for life. So, there's many factors. Obviously, there's 30 years of experience. So people have been doing this for 30 years. We've had programs all of these years that have been, looked at, adapted, changed, bits added to, but fundamentally the structure of the classes has pretty much stayed the same, because it works, it's brilliant, it's fun, it's educational, it's all of those things. And we're very lucky that the franchisees that we have been with us a very long time, so we have the longevity of a great brand, but we also have people coming in with fresh new ideas, and that is also very valid to a business too. So that is why the success has been there for so many years, because the fundamental basis of the classes is brilliant. And on top of that, we have gone with the times, we've moved with it. We've now got classes from 3 months old up to sort of 7 years, really, because we go into schools. We also go into the care homes and work with children, with the elderly residents, along with the children. So there's lots of different diversifying parts to the business too. So it's great. There's so many things that we can talk about. In terms of what we do to be part of Jo Jingles, obviously the best way is to go online and check out the website, so jojingles.com. You can then search your area and find your local franchisee nearest to you. Then you can get involved and go to those classes and experience the fun yourself. Or if there isn't a franchise in your area, maybe you could become a franchisee instead. So there's lots of different things. But that for me I just love Jo Jingles. Obviously, it's why I'm here so many years later. But one of our main things is inclusivity as well. And the fact, you mentioned it earlier, ladies, as well, that, that it's for everybody. As I said, we go into places where we're working with children with special needs. We can have like the care home sessions, which we have obviously some of the elderly are suffering with dementia and Alzheimer's, and we can work within these boundaries, bringing joy to everybody of all ages, but fundamentally obviously for the lives. But it's a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, we hear so often from families, it's the highlight of our week. And for me, that is, what better phrase to hear from someone? That's real job
Lovely.
satisfaction, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
highlight of my week.
Yeah.
We hear it from families, we hear it from nursery staff, and as you say, the intergenerational sessions are big for us in Nottingham, and to see that interaction and the residents saying, I love this, I can't wait for you to come and visit us again. It's just magical, it really is. And as you say, longevity, and that's why I'm on my 20th year, and I just love it. I love it as much now as I always did. And look, I'm very fortunate that Hannah's on board with me here in Nottingham. She's got the jingle bug, and together we're a bit of a force, and we love it.
Oh,
That's
no,
lovely.
it does sound amazing. And I mean, my question next was going to be, how's Jo Jingles impacted you personally and professionally? And I suppose we've just gone through that. There's a real touching element of this industry, and it's definitely something why I'm within the industry and why I'm with Jo Jingles. There is this connection. You can really feel it across the network, and it is really enjoyable to see these. Honestly, I know that parents have been saying to you it's their highlight of their week, but the highlight of my day is about 12 o'clock when I go on the socials, because I see all the photos of all the classes that are happening. And I mean, we've just before we came onto this, I had a look at our socials, and obviously they are going crazy because it's our 30th year and it's actually Jo's birthday today. So it's just lovely. But no, I really want to thank all of you for joining me this afternoon. We do finish on a quick round of quick questions. It's just a bit of fun. So the quicker the answer, the funner and the better it is for our listeners. We had a previous version of this, and it took somebody very long to answer the question, and it kind of, it didn't work. So let's try and see if it works this time. So what we'll do is, because there's a few of us, we're going to go Lucy, Gaynor, Hannah, and then the next question will be Hannah, Gaynor, Lucy. Is that okay?
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. You ready? Favourite Jo Jingles song?
Fancy dance.
Wind the bobbin up.
Hokey cokey.
Oh, nice. Most heartwarming or hilarious thing you've seen in class?
When this morning a little girl said, "I've got new knickers on," and showed the whole class.
I don't think I can beat that. I'll go heartwarming, I think. Yeah, just happy moments every day at Jo Jingles. Sorry, that's vague, but it's true. It's true.
I don't know. There's so many. I'm not doing a quick fire, am I? I'm thinking really like friendships and seeing people grow. Like you see them 10 years later and they still remember you as their class teacher. And things like that. I mean, I saw a girl the other day, a 21-year-old, who said, "I remember you."
That's brilliant.
So yeah.
We did have another one we had that was quite heartwarming, and I know I've already answered, was I remember, they still come now, a family, granddad and grandma, that are just a gorgeous, gorgeous family, that come with their grandson. And they came the first week, and as they walked out at the end, the granddad said, "Oh, I absolutely loved that." He said, "That was just, it couldn't have been any better. I loved it." And he said, "Is it all right if he's poorly one week? Can I still come?" And I just love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Hannah was quite lucky that she had a very good one from this morning. But no, it sounds amazing. And then finally, we'll go with Lucy. One word to describe Jo Jingles.
amazing.
Yeah.
Magical.
Fun.
Fun. Perfect.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. Thank you all so much for joining me again. And to all of our listeners out there, we are obviously Jo Jingles, and this has been very much about what we do. The children's activity sector is absolutely huge, and I suppose, instead of saying come to Jo Jingles all the time, there is also that thing of there are classes out there for everybody, but Jo Jingles serves everybody. And I think that's the main message that we've got today from these lovely conversations that we've had. So obviously, we do have our 30th year celebrations going on right now, but Gaynor has her 20th anniversary. So what have you got planned to celebrate that this year?
Yeah, so we're going to be going full on with our parties in classes celebrating 30 years. But then in the summer, further on in the summer, I should say, I think we're going for the 13th of July, aren't we, Hannah? We're going to have a big party, which fingers crossed the weather's going to be kind to us, because we're looking to do a big picnic. So everyone can bring a yummy picnic. And yeah, we'll be singing some of Jo's favourite songs, inviting friends from the past who we touched on this earlier, but we have actually got some jinglers that are in their 20s now, and I've got 2 or 3 that have promised they will come along to say hello, and we can maybe match them up with their old pictures from when they were joining in with Jo Jingles, get the old photos out.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a really big celebration, and just acknowledge that amazingness of 20 years on board this Jo Jingles journey.
It sounds like there's lots of fun going to happening in Nottingham. So if you are in Nottingham and you're listening, reach out to Gaynor, get yourself to the parties. This month, our first week was all about Jo Jingles and his parties, but then we also are having a charity kind of fundraising event throughout a week where we're going to be supporting Caudwell children. And again, that's a great opportunity for our inclusivity to be involved. We've got some Macathon happening in our classes. So yeah, have a real look out for us and see what else we can do. But for now, thank you very much for everybody here, and wish you a great week if you are listening, and carry on jingling. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.